Mr. Mark Jenkins. What is up, bro? Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me on WinWin, man. What's good?
Man, it's a win-win, bro. Everyone's going to eat. Everyone's going to win. It's going to impact some lives, do some crazy stuff. You're in California right now. Are you still, obviously you're about to move into your new place. That's pretty dope. A lot of things, man. You're all over the damn place. Like you're flown around, you're doing trainings, you're serving people at 4 a.m., going into all the way at night. You're all over the damn place, bro. Proud of you, man.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot. I'm working, but I'm trying to get on a new wave, so I'm really putting that out. I'm working, but I'm trying to balance at the same time. I'm trying to make sure I get the family time,
right,
off time to restoke the creativity and the recovery time from all the training I'm doing. So I think it's getting phased out, man. The grind and keep on grinding and don't have a life and keep on pushing and enjoy your life later. And I think the wellness is getting more phased in, and people are starting to realize you're a little bit more productive when you're well in every facet, It's true. It is true.
To be honest, we were just having a brief conversation. My story and the stuff that I've had to overcome in universities wise. I felt like I was living a double life, bro. I was hustling as hard as I can hustle of building my wealth, and I compromised my health.
Yeah.
And that took a huge dive. But then once I started to really take the extra amount of time that is needed investing, because I would look at it as people say, we got to make the sacrifice. Well, sacrifice is only when you don't do it. And that's an investment in yourself if you're looking at the longevity of really putting in that time.
Yeah, and it's not a sacrifice, and you can't bank on that. You can't bank on taking care of your health later, because you might not make it to later because you're not taking care of your health. Mm-hmm. So people will tell you to sacrifice, keep on working, and then you'll get a trainer later after you're rich. Hey, you may not make it to that point because you sacrifice your health. You need your health as a vehicle to help you attain the wealth. And that's the big message that I'm trying to get through to people right now. And I think it's become apparent through the pandemic. People had less money, but they had better wellness because they were at home chilling with their families. They had more balance.
Right.
So the question now is, how can you integrate it all? And I think shows like yours, you do a good job at presenting all kinds of different aspects of wellness.
Yes, 100%.
Unknowingly.
Yeah, well, actually, to be honest with you, when the first 2 seasons launched for the WinWin Effect, it was me training 16 to 18,000 reps in America, right? So, and then it blew up. And then when it blew up, I was very grateful and very honored. I was like, wow, I thought my catalyst in and shit. So, and then season 3 happened. And then that's when I started learning more about podcasting, media. Right. I saw a huge gap of area of an opportunity where all these podcast networks are raping people. You know what I mean? And I'm saying that publicly, and I don't care what people think, or I'm telling you the truth. They're set up very similar to a music industry, and it takes $1 million to break out an artist. Well, same thing for a podcast show. You got to look at the longevity. But the season 3, season 4, I started off like business people. But during my journey, not just entrepreneurial journey, I've done very well for myself, very blessed. But when I'm moving into more health and wellness, you see my transformation of the guests that I'm bringing on, because it's what I'm attracting out.
Yeah. It's definitely a shift going on, man. I mean, there's a lot of executives who I used to have to go see to get paid at these record labels for training the artists. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? A lot of them now are struggling to find work because they couldn't make the shift to doing equitable business. They were just used to doing the
talk about that. Talk about that if you can. That's powerful. That's powerful.
They were just too used to doing exploitative business, because I got into I didn't have a business, any type of experience. I was just a guy who was in the military, who got in shape in the military, who learned how to train and became the go-to guy in the military to training people in the gym. So I didn't really know about business. And once I started training people in the record business, this was really my first taste of business. And I used to go ask my clients who were in corporate business, is this how it's supposed to be done? They were like, no, man, because in the record business back then, you put an invoice in, whoever got the invoice tacked it up 10, 15,000. Then they send the invoice up because they wouldn't approve your invoice unless they got paid off your invoice.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And this is very similar, bro. Yeah.
Record business, they don't know anything about this stuff, but that's how it used to go down, with the invoices. So, for me, I think the first invoice I put in was to a label that I ever created. I didn't think there was any other way to do business. So when I talk to my clients, who are maybe, in legitimate business, they be like, Mark, no.
Don't do that. These record labels are assholes, man. That's
not supposed to happen. Yeah, it's interesting.
Also, on the side of it, if it's not the artist or someone like that pushing it through themselves on their staff, depending on how you structure your deal and contract, there's certain verbiage you have to use to really stand out to win the bid or get their attention to push the invoice through. And of course, they're going to do their markup. Well, that's why WinJet Studios that's how it got built. When I get pissed off,
that's why I told that story. It's the same exact thing. That's why those guys are going to be obsolete now.
100%. Even with some of the stuff that is coming out right now that pre-release with WinJet, it's pissing people off. They're like, "What do you mean? There's no."
You're changing the game, right?
Yeah,
right. Yeah, you're not charging people all this hundreds of thousands of dollars to put a podcast out. It's crazy.
Nope. They're like, what do you mean? Dude, I think it's the most that you'll actually invest or the most that it would take for you to have a show. You're looking at starting a show and having all those things that you would need. Typically what people are charging around like 10, 20 grand, but at least $5,000 up front. You are
in fact a disruptor, right?
I'm pissing them off because I'm only charging. Right? I'm only charging
disruptors.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think something like that. So it's like I'm only charging people what I have to pay for.
Well, that's what I did in the fitness industry.
That's my point.
What I did with training these clients. I don't train clients for retention. I only train them for transformation. Mm-hmm. So because I'm only training you to transform you, I can actually give you all the information.
That's my point.
All of my clients actually get all of my celebrity training secrets. So they can go on to pursue their own fitness journey, maybe learning a skill, learning a martial art, getting into a sport they like. You know what I mean? Because you're not supposed to be dependent on someone else to maintain your own fitness. I'm very much against the way personal training, and because I was a disruptor in the industry, I was able to make more and more money because I always had a different client. So every time I had a different client, I went up in price based off the last transformation and tried to add
level
more
up.
value.
That's actually that's powerful. Just to interject just real quick on this, and I want to make sure the listeners, if you're listening to this, I want you to understand something. If you're a entrepreneur, if you're landing clients, after every client, you need to reassess your price points and level yourself up.
And when you're retaining clients, you can never raise the price.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But you
always have to have a new. So it never made sense to me how these trainers ran their business. Oh, I got this client for 10 years. Oh, I don't want a client for 10 years.
Hell no, you shouldn't have one.
You to take your next fitness journey. Now, you might revisit my training within a year or two. Hopefully, I've acquired some new skills to teach you. So it also gives a trainer time to build up their repertoire. So next time they come around with the client, they have that much more to offer them. But I never thought it was a great business deal for client retention. I don't know why trainers do it. I don't understand.
You know why they do it. You know why they do it. You know why they do it though. They're looking at
it's the same record business, podcast type of style of business where it's almost exploitative.
Yes, that's a good point.
On you, and it's not empowering. So I think
that
paradigm is shifting though. It's a lot of disruptors.
There is, and I think that's where you're going to see it's already happening, a massive shift. I did this in an educational approach. That's how I built the programs that I built and sold them for the price points that I did. And I've done this. I've pissed people off in entrepreneurship for the last 7 years. I'm just going to do it now in media. So they emulate the result. They don't emulate that. What they should be emulating is working on themselves and going within. And that's something that we both champion, is really not just giving them what they want. We give them what they need. And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. And it's especially when you're working with a pretty predominant name like Diddy's, of course, Mary J. Blige. I mean, dealing with someone like that, you know what I mean?
Or Diddy,
that's different.
Or Mary J. Blige or Beyonce, let's say I'm charging them at the time, 50, 60 grand for a month of training. And then we get out on the road and they're not training every day. And they're calling me like, yo, Mark, we're paying you. You're out here 50, 60 grand. You got per diem. Like, what the fuck, man? Why aren't you training so-and-so training me every day? And I'm like, listen, you're not paying me for how much you're training. You're paying me for how good you look, but how little you're training, because you're not an athlete. You got to do press, you got to rehearse, you got to prepare. Your recovery system is finite. What you're paying me to do is to integrate health and wellness into your lifestyle. So I'm getting you that D'Angelo untitled body. Yes. We're doing minimal work for maximum exposure. So you're not working out 5 to 6 days a week. So you're not burning out. So you can integrate it into your lifestyle and make it a part of your lifestyle. So a lot of times,
that's so powerful. That's so powerful.
You got to have them trust you, and it's hard to get them to really go. And it's like, but I'm paying you $60. I said, yeah, I'm showing you how to do it, and I'm only charging you this for a temporary amount of time. I'm moving on to the next client. So take notes, try to understand. If you want to get a regular trainer after that to rock with you every day and burn out your adrenals and thyroid because you're training every day and you can't recover and not sleep, you can do that. But I'm setting you on a course where, you're getting maximum gain for minimal exposure. Almost like sun tanning. You can't go out in the sun every day because you're
gonna hurt your skin.
Right, but with the right amount of exposure and the right amount of recovery, you get a nice tan.
There's a lot of conditioning side of it. And I love that you said that you pay me to integrate my, the wellness into your life, not really how much you train. Like, perfect example, you and Nazi Khatun are cut from the same cloth and never met in person just yet. She does the same thing to me, bro. I've paid for trainers. This is like 5 years ago before my injury. I would pay trainers a lot of money to train me, but I would work out 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I'd meet with her once, bro. And I'm literally, I'm shredded. Like, everything's fallen off. I'm weldering down to nothing, but I'm strong. You know what I mean? Like, I'm conditioned. There's a lot of the neurochemistry side of it. And that's where I'm going to lean in with your show, the Anabolic Mind, and obviously presenting your show on WinJect Studios, and then taking all the stuff that you've learned throughout all your years. And you've been doing this for how much? Like 20 years, over 20 years.
Over 20 years. Yeah.
Over 20 years of experience. And this is where,
close to 30.
Yeah, almost 30. What makes him so freaking powerful that you had to hustle coming from, like, you were living in a projects, bro, in New York.
Yeah, I got out the projects in 2000. I got in there in 93, and I lived in the projects, jumped a turnstile to get to work, and personal train people for free.
That's right.
In those free sessions, I asked how to start a business, and I asked my clients who were CEOs and corporate, and they told me how to structure a business. And my next break came with D'Angelo's publicist in 2000. So for 1994 to 2000, I ate mackerel, brown rice, and frozen vegetables every day, because that's all I could afford to get my protein, carbohydrates, and get the veggies in, and then 2 protein shakes. So that was what I ate every single day until my break came in 2000. D'Angelo's publicist got him in great shape. He was a really lean guy, skinny. Put some size on him. D'Angelo noticed, and that was my break. And D'Angelo, the Untitled video was the video along with Mary J. Blige that got me out of the projects.
Man, that's just it's such a powerful story. It's such a powerful story, and there's so much that. I mean, I think it's like, what, 46-inch waist or something like that? 42?
Yeah, I started out with a 45-inch waist and
45.
joined the military to get in shape, yeah.
Right, and this is something that Mark and I share. We were highly recruited to go into the Navy, man. I still remember how I was recruited. I don't think I've ever told you the story.
No.
I went to join the Marines.
Uh-huh.
They're all like one beside each other. And the Navy guy was out. The Navy guy was standing outside, and he was like an old salty dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like old Cena cheese salty, smoking a cigarette. Like those old, like, remember those Winston's or something. It was
old school.
The old school stuff. This old guy, right? Drinking a cup of coffee, come walking up, you can smell the liquor on him and beer, right? And he was like, I was a Marine guy, I was out to lunch or whatever, and he was like, what have you done for your country lately, boy? That's what he said to me. And he was like, why would you want to go join the Marines? They work for us. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was like, I don't know anything, man.
I hear that. I heard that in the recruiting station too. No. They work for us.
They work for us. Yeah, they're a department of the Navy. And I was like, well, that makes sense.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. I had no idea.
And the Air Force is part of the Army.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's only 2 major branches, the Army and the Navy.
Right. Do you know that you want to hear my Coast Guard joke?
No. What's that?
Okay, I'm going to hear my Coast Guard joke. Every Coast Guard person I see, I'll do this. I did this at an event the other day, 2 years ago, obviously. But I told him he walked up. She's like, "Oh, my husband's in the Coast Guard." I said, "Oh man, that's awesome." And he comes walking up, and I just introduced myself to him. And then he's like, "Yeah, he's prior military," because I'm over here in England, so you don't really see that many Americans like prior military and whatnot. So it's like, I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "Things must have changed." They're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "How are you not 6 foot?" And they were like, "You don't have to be 6 foot to join the Coast Guard." I was like, "Well, I thought that when a ship sinks, you can walk back to shore because they don't ever go out far."
They don't go anywhere, right?
Oh man, he was a little offended, but it was okay.
Yeah, they always got a chip on their shoulder. Nobody really counts them as,
It's like a little brother.
But they count.
Yeah,
I got no beef with the Coast Guard.
No, I mean, I will never have any beef. If I go start drowning or something, I need the Coast Guard.
They serve a good purpose. They help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. So New York, right? And you're going and bouncing around. Let's go back to New York. Let's go back right before you went into the military, right? And let's go into that part of Mark. Do you believe, and I think that, and especially in New York, there's a level of hustle that comes when you're coming from that type of world, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that, we're around like 16 years old, 17 years old, Mark, did you think that you would probably potentially have the life that you live today? I mean, or was that even
16, 17-year-old Mark? I thought I was going to die every day in Brooklyn, not being at the bottom of the food chain, having a fat gut, not being able to get any girls, not being popular in school, getting bullied, running home. I didn't think I was going to see 20, 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, so, for me, I didn't really have anything to lose. I went to the Navy recruiter. They told me to have McDonald's on the aircraft carrier. I was like, shit, I'm ducking bullets anyway.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a saying though, but yeah.
Yeah, I said, I'm ducking bullets anyway. There's crack vials on the floor, me walking to school. They got McDonald's. My mom bankrupted herself, sending my sister to Penn State.
Yeah.
There's no money for me to go to college. So it just seemed like,
thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my angle, was like, I needed, because, granted, I think you were in Gulf War. I went to, obviously, mine. I enlisted in 98, early enlistment program, and then obviously served into 2004. It was technically 99 to 2004. When I look back at that time, I mean, even before then, the education push, the only way to really make it is you had a crazy, wicked jump shot, play some football, sports, any type of sports, get a scholarship, or if you can go into the military and get college money. Because you have to go to college. Anyway, you have to go through college to be able to make something of yourself. So that was my main purpose.
I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I was having a conversation, and they were like, you guys in the military, you guys are so clean cut. And I said, it's funny because when I joined in '88, they still had the program, like if you were a first-time offender or you had a good lawyer, either you could serve your jail sentence or you could join the military.
100%, bro. I met killers, bro. Killers.
Of criminals.
Yeah.
And the person I was talking to, they were like, what? I said, when I was in the military, that was '88, they had Crips and Bloods getting into shit.
On the carriers, bro. I seen it. Yeah. This shit's real, bro.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, man. There's a lot of people in the military are on the run from various different things. But all of this stuff helped me become a better trainer because I was able to relate to people. Coming from New York, where I came from, being in the military, would you have people who are true patriots, just want to join to serve the country, who are like, oh, my dad is rich. From every spectrum, my dad is rich, but he felt like I couldn't handle the family business unless I served my country. He wasn't going to give me the money, so I'm in here. 2, I'm running from the Crips and the Bloods. I got gang members after me. I had to get up the street. Every different spectrum of person is in the military for different reasons, And some trying to find themselves, some trying to get away from themselves. It's interesting.
I know exactly, because I was running away from pain. My older sister passed away, and I ran into the military because I did kind of see my surroundings, and even right now, like Mike Jackson here's as my best friend since second grade. I would say probably at least over 10 people I went to high school with and hung out with. They're now dead. Yeah. And suicide. Some by suicide, some by accident, some by getting shot, and then most of the other ones are in jail. Or did a bid. Some other bid.
Same thing with me. Yeah. Same thing with me. My best friend, A lot of them dead or in jail, man. It's
It was
crazy.
the best thing I ever did. It was the best thing I ever did for myself.
It did save me. It did save me because I was, who knows what my health would have been, and I probably wouldn't have made it out of New York at that time. I probably wouldn't have survived, like going to college and going through high school and all of that stuff in New York City. So it was a blessing, definitely.
Guys, if you want to know what Brooklyn was like back in mid '80s, you know what I mean. I want you to understand something. Go watch some of the. Go watch. Yeah. Go watch some. That shit is not like it is right now. Okay, you got crack vials everywhere.
With the graffiti on the trains.
Oh man, it was rough, bro. Watching Ninja Turtles.
You can really see what it was. It's like my mom. She used to
New Jack City.
She'd like, please tuck your chain in. At that time they were pushing people off the tracks and pulling a chain off. To the tracks. Crazy New York was.
Mm-hmm. That's it. It's funny how things change when you go to certain areas. But I think, Drew, I think that's pretty powerful in your story. That's where I really relate with you. When you're in the military, you get exposed to a lot of different types of
17.
Right. And me too. I went in at 17. So it was the best thing I ever did, but I wasn't scared of shit, but it was more of just me being exposed, especially when you think Charleston, South Carolina is a beautiful place. It is a beautiful place, but I was on the other side of that track.
Right.
You know what I mean? So North Charleston at that time I think it was the #1 murder capital in the world in crime just in North Charleston. North Charleston at the time had a huge cocaine problem. Huge cocaine, crack, and whatnot, because that's where a lot of, they call it Mosquito Beach, and I'm going to get in trouble right now. I'm probably saying this, but Mosquito Beach and Folly Beach, that's where all the coke come in. You know what I mean? Even the state treasury guy got arrested, and he's the big, huge bridge in Charleston, Arthur Ravenel Bridge. Arthur Ravenel's grandson was arrested for shit like this. Okay. And he was in state treasury. All right. So Charleston had a huge drug problem and still does in some extent, but things have changed a little bit. It's went more of like pill popping and what is that stuff? Fentanyl. They lace with heroin and stuff. But it was the best decision. And I remember going to the military and out, and I remember came home after deployment, the first deployment. I did 3 tours, 2 tours in Iraqi freedom. But when I came back, I saw everybody doing the same shit. I was like, this is the best place for me.
Yeah, they're doing
this is the best place for me.
Spend it in time, man. Yeah, you got to, sometimes you got to get out of your environment, and sometimes you have to get on death ground. You have to get into a situation where your back's against the wall. You have no choice. You're in boot camp. There's nothing. I had nothing to go back to. So it was either I get through the military or, so I made it. Couldn't do 10 push-ups, when I joined.
Like that. Yeah, you get the Fat Boy program. That's what they called it when I was in. I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah,
I was last on every run. Couldn't do 10 push-ups. The whole shebang. But I just wouldn't quit because I didn't have anything to go back to. And a lot of times, you guys, when you get into those situations, you can refer to them later on, and they'll strengthen you.
Yeah.
And you can call on that. So when you're in those situations, never look at it as if it's a bad thing. Like, oh, my back's against the wall, and get down and get more depressed. Be like, yeah, man, you're learning your fighting spirit. You're learning about yourself. You're building your character right now. And that's what the gym reinforces. And that's what I try to teach to my clients and take them to that place where, they can find that in themselves, so they don't need me as a trainer to bring the motivation. If you need the information, that's something different. But if you need the motivation, it's your body and it's your health. You should be more than motivated when you come to the gym to work with your trainer.
100%. That's a prerequisite. Hard work, dedication, overcoming adversity, all this stuff. I think that it comes back also military stuff and just it's being around surroundings. But I like to ask people not questions of what you can do for the company or what you can do for yourself or whatever. I like to ask what is the real life problem you solved and how big was it and how did you go about doing it and how much adversity have you overcome? Because anybody can tell me anything about themselves. Yeah, but if you haven't overcome a little bit of adversity, then you don't know shit about life.
Yeah. And being a fitness icon at that time, in the early 2000s, I go to these companies because now the sponsor influencer thing is normal.
It's big. Yeah.
It's big. Back then, oh, you look too threatening as a black man. We can't endorse you. Oh, black guys don't sell video. Go.
Yeah. It's big.
Today. This was 2000. This was 20 something years ago. They'll tell you right. Black people don't work out. We're not giving you any type of endorsement. Black people don't buy vitamin. So it's a lot of adversity, even doing health and wellness back then as opposed to now, which is exciting. Mm-hmm. Which is exciting now because we get to control the narrative now, the disruptors. And we get to change the narrative. And now I'm telling people, listen, we're all about wellness, but we want to show you that wellness is also a $43 trillion a year business, and we want you to make money out of getting people well and get help so you can afford your own wellness. And that's a different message than it was before,
Mm-hmm. It is a different message, and there was a lot of oppression back then where even if someone had a lot of talent and whatnot, if you don't look the part or play the part, they're pretty much making you do the song and dance to see if you'll do it and bite the apple. Right. So, and if you're not going to bite that apple, then you're not going to play ball. Then they don't give a shit
yourself or your message or whatever. Even I'll tell you, man, I had a supplement kit in 2004 called the Work It Kit. A lot of viewers may have had it, may be familiar with it out in 2004, and it was revolutionary. It had a VHS tape in it, right? It had back in the day, it had a fat burner, a muscle builder, a protein powder, a multivitamin, and an essential fat in one kit, and it retailed for $100. And that was when Diddy was running the marathon. But the company that I partnered with, Pinnacle, they refused to put a black man on the cover. So
what?
I wasn't on the box, only on the VHS.
I guarantee I've probably seen this. I remember Pinnacle's company. I remember Pinnacle.
Kit, only on the VHS kit.
Holy shit, I didn't even know this.
And I had a 50-50 deal with the company. It was doing all the press and promoting, but they refused. They said, if you insist on being on the box, we're not doing a deal.
I remember this thing.
Yeah, and they put a mulatto guy playing basketball.
Get out of town!
And that's the
story. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and look it up after this. Now you got me. Now you piqued my
business venture. But that's how I was doing wellness business back then because we weren't expected to be leaders of wellness. One of the reasons why I became the go-to guy in the industry for the celebrity, with the artists, was because they couldn't really get a legit trainer to train a rapper, or because they were never interested. Everybody was looking for Brad Pitt to train. It wasn't a viable source of revenue, even as a trainer, to get credit until I did the Untitled video. Mm-hmm. So that was a game changer in a whole different way in wellness, and inspired a whole bunch of people. So. It's interesting to look back.
It's interesting, even the stuff that you bring up. Your people, right? And you go, like, damn, there's something. Like, I didn't know that. Like, I remember that company. That's so crazy.
Yeah, and if you Google that Work It Kit, it's a mulatto guy on there, but they got on the box Mark Jenkins.
You sons of bitches, man. That's crazy. Oh, you racist bastards. You know what I mean?
It was like hardcore. Like, listen, no, we're not. If you force it, we're out.
That's a different generation. You know what?
And I was like, listen, to get the kid out, and I was running the marathon at the time, and I named it Work It because I was training Missy.
So that was a good angle. That's a great song. That was a great album of hers.
Let me just compromise myself and say, yeah, I had my first child. I was under financial duress trying to get the deal done. And, I don't know if I made the right decision or not, looking back at it. Maybe I should have stuck by my guns. Who knows?
Right. And pushed.
You can't, it's hindsight. It's always 2020,
But then again, sometimes, you look back at even some of the L's, I just look at them as a pause. It's a pause. It's just a chance for me to reflect and review and contextualize my next move. Because some of the deals that I've made my first year in entrepreneurship, I did very well financially for myself. But after the first year, I realized that I didn't know shit about finance. Like real finance and creating wealth. So what I did was just something similar, and bringing this up with you. I looked at a trade-off. So I went to one of the financial people, he's a financial guru, like a real financial guru. I went to him and approached him through a couple different colleagues, and these are some major players, and I'm not name drop them because he's obviously in today when some of the financial stuff. But you can go on, he's got a TV show, just everyone knows his initials is DR. All right. So when I went to him, it's like, I'll sell for you for free for 3 months. Can you have you or your staff teach me finance and how to structure deals? Mm-hmm. And once he taught me how to structure deals, I realized that this is how I wasn't making any money, like making real, when you make that next leap, like when you start of course, doing financially well, but you're looking at a longevity play and looking more of like royalties and looking more of a smaller type of payouts and residual income coming in. And I realized how to play that game. I was like, oh shit, here we go. I was like, it's game over. That trade-off stuff is something you did at the beginning. Yeah,
you got to trade off, and you got to have the vision to see it through. And, a lot of my clients, I wrote the marathon originally for D'Angelo. He passed on it. Mary J. Blige passed on it. Diddy said yes. Got the MTV deal for making it a band and all that stuff. That was his first foray into MTV, was the Diddy Runs the City. So a lot of times you got to have the vision. I've went to a lot of my clients. Hold on.
Back up just for a second. Something just clicked. Do you remember this video that went viral? And he had this, and it was a clip of him in like a Van Gogh or Van Dutch, whatever the shirt was.
Von Dutch.
And he slammed down the phone, and he told me, I just got my MTV. Was that the same thing?
Yeah, that was the same time. Yeah, that was
when I was
for the marathon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That video, I've had a copy of that video forever before it went like viral, like them people fan it. I had it like on a cassette tape, and he was like, wow. And that was that type of energy, bro. Is the same type of energy that I wanted to emulate.
Yeah. So I got to hang out with Puff for a year and a half. We had a year and a half.
That's dope, man.
And that year and a half we ran the marathon, and he took me around the world. We trained around the world, man. Like, get on a plane, you got to have a bag ready, man. He made moves, and I got to see how CEOs do it and the different styles of CEOing.
Right.
Hardcore corporate versus entertainment. What the differences were, what the advantages were, what the disadvantages were. And how to combine them to make a movement, to get into this wellness movement. I had clients as well where I had 6-7 figure deals for them to get into wellness, and they thought it was going to be, because mind you, this is 2000s, the early 2000s. They didn't understand how big wellness was going to be. And back then, artists were scared to co-brand because they thought it took away from them as an artist. So they would turn down $1 million deals, $10 million deals on supplements, food, different deals that they would never have to make a record again if they started right now, that every mainstream artist is doing right now. But they just didn't have the vision.
That's crazy.
And wanted to sell sunglasses or just wanted to be a serious artist. I mean, just imagine if D'Angelo had a fitness anything.
It would have blown up. It would have blown up.
It would have been like the George Foreman grill.
Yeah, well, I think it probably would have even been bigger than that. What was that one, P90X? Remember that?
Yeah. But him and his management were like, it's just about the music. The old school type of art, you know what I mean? It's just about the music. He only wants to do music. He's not interested in doing anything. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying the impact, I always looked at it as, man, this is so many people listen to your music at this time to get you to be an influence on wellness. It could have changed the whole culture in a whole different way. If Diddy came out with a marathon after running that marathon, came out with our own marathon, stuff like that. That's what I'm always thinking about, how to integrate the wellness in society. How can I combine two things that I love, music and wellness, and turn it into one thing? That's what excites me right now.
Well, I think the hustler inside of you allows you to see bigger pictures, because when you start over exceeding expectations and you start living on the outer layer of your truest potential, you realize that you start getting exposed like these high level thinkers.
Yeah.
You got no choice but to level up. You're going to be outcasted, and you got to keep leveling up with your clients. And I think that's something that, you do effortlessly, was understanding the bigger picture and bigger play. Like right now, it's expensive to eat healthy. Very expensive.
It is.
So you got to work on your wealth, bro. Like you got to make money.
You got to have a wellness budget. You got to have a wellness budget. Even if that budget is $10 a week, you got to be dictating something to you. And what can you do with that? Guess what? You can take a meditation class for free. You can go somewhere, you know what I mean? You can go take a yoga class. You can go get you can go to a workshop with that money, $10 a week. Even if you have $10, but you have to have a budget, because that will make you conscious. That will have you doing something, taking a step every week, because now you have some money to actually do it with. So a lot of times, it starts with the intention, thought, word, deed, absolutely. But after you got to get to the deed, you have to take the action. To do the deed, you need the money. So you got to have a budget to get it popping, even to get a gym membership.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. That's one thing. That's one thing that people have been paying the lights on for free, and they go for like a couple weeks, and then be like, "Oh, I'm sore, and I don't want to go again." and they can't get out of their contract.
Take your budget, buy some bands, do it at home. Now you can go online, but you gotta have some type of equipment to take care of yourself, and you shouldn't have that resentment in investing in yourself.
Dude, I had a friend of mine when I was was in the military with, and he came back and he was, he was in a special unit, right? And he ended up passing away a year and a half ago. But he was, he was homeless, and he came out and he had all his limbs and all the stuff. He came back mentally jacked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he came back and he was a cut up guy. And I remember he reached out on Facebook. This is when Facebook was Facebook. I go way back, right? So he reached out. I think it's probably like 2008 ish. And I was just figuring my career out. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So mental health space and whatnot. And anyways, he was homeless for a while. And he would just go to the gym and had a gym membership just to take showers. And I think, he was doing well at one point, bro. He got back into like mental shape, and then he got married, had a couple kids, and then she left him, and then he spiraled out of control.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard.
Spiraled out of control. I mean, that's something like that you see with artists, right? And this is my angle that I wanted to bring up. With a artist that would have you, or just say client in this situation. But I want to talk about the artist thing because this is massive. They get into a relationship, or they have a next tour, or they have this going on, and maybe their relationship and them not working on themselves enough, maybe their staff around them eating burgers and shit. They can't be just in the studio eating burgers in front of the damn person you're training. And that's something you do well, is that you're not just training them, you're training everybody in their vicinity.
Yeah, you got to get the group in on it. They got to understand that, the longer the artist is able to tour, the more money that everybody else can make.
100%.
So it behooves them to keep the artist in a healthy state, But then you have, you got those managers that take the artists out for drinks to sign contracts.
You got to.
I've seen that, yeah, I've seen that type of thing too. So it's you try the best you can. I'm always on the outsider coming into a group. I try to get everybody in shape on the wellness path because it's for their own wellness too. I say, hey man, take advantage. I'm here on someone else's dime. Why don't you use me to enhance your life and make a change and get in shape and get the same benefit? And you'd be surprised. Some people take advantage of it the whole tour, and some people won't. But it's fascinating. But definitely the group has power. So in an optimal situation, like if I'm with Buster, I want to get the whole flip mode training. You know what I mean? I want to get everybody in on it, at least one group session a day to build their camaraderie. And usually the artist is a lot happier about it because you're building relationships within the group as well. Yeah. So you're building that the camaraderie and team building, and that's a big part of wellness as well, the social aspect. So I try to teach the client wellness in this totality. Okay.
The book stuff that you had come out and all the other things, you even have a deal. I think a nutrition deal with Chuck. Is it Chuck D? Public Enemy.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on a sub deal
right
now. We're trying to come out.
Sorry.
No. Yeah. We got a deal. We're looking for some stuff. But
obviously we have conversations that aren't
we're still negotiating with the company. So that's actually good you mentioned it. Maybe it gives us a little bit more leverage. But we are looking to do something that's enhancing our immune systems for the hip hop community. A lot of people are anti-vaxxers. A lot of people have pre-existing conditions in the community. And we wanted to do something to come out with a product that we knew would be healthy for your immune system and give you not any protection from any type of virus or disease per se, but something that's going to enhance your immune system overall. So you're a little bit more resilient to anything that's happening.
You hear them. I see a lot, man. And then people have their own views, and I'm not going to get into a political stance with this, but they taking the vaccine, but they're not taking anything else to take care of themselves.
Exactly. So here's the thing, right? You're anti-vaccination, but you're obese.
Yeah, like
you don't go in your head and say, okay, obesity is a pre-existing condition. Let me drop some weight because I'm not taking the vaccination anyway, and I'm putting more probability of getting that. And me being obese is affecting my immune system. So or you don't say if you're a smoker, okay, I'm a non-vaxxer and I'm smoking. Maybe I should fall back on that right now because I really don't have any protection from the virus that's going on. So it's not that I'm questioning people's decision to vax or anti-vax. What I'm questioning is that how come you're not taking any countermeasures regardless Whether you're vaccinated or not, you should be taking phytonutrients every day to enhance your immune system.
Right.
You should be taking prebiotics every day. You should be taking omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids every day. These are things that almost every nutritionist is going to say, yeah, okay, that's going to be beneficial. It's not too much debate on phytonutrients. As a matter of fact, the CDC recommends you get a supplemental phytonutrient source for your immune system.
Well,
that's
I mean,
CDC recommendation. So, that's what I'm saying. It's like we got to be conscious, health conscious to the point where we're conscious about everything else. When your ATM money goes down, to transfer money to your pocket account before you get stuck with no money. It's like, get your immune system healthy because it's in deficit now with everything that's going on with stress. That's a big cut into your immune system, your cortisol levels, lack of sleep, all that shit they tell you about grinding and hustling and business and entrepreneuring. All that stuff is detrimental to your immune system. Yes. If you're going to be doing all of that, plus you're an anti-vaxxer, invest with your fitness budget. Be proactive on some preventative measures, working out and eating right, guys.
It's easy to not think about your health because we're humans. We're going to take things for granted.
Right.
You don't realize. I mean, you're I think 51 right now, going into MMA stuff. Looking probably in the best shape of your life.
I'm trying
not to drop age. I'm just saying you look fucking phenomenal. Yeah. So
jiu-jitsu is hard, bro.
Yeah, dude, I did it once. Okay, you want me to tell you my little story? I boxed in the Navy. So I boxed growing up. I throw my hands a little bit. And that's what they train. These SEALs train jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? So they're like training. They're on the mats, and they're like, Chris, I'll spar with you if you get on the mats. I'm like, all right. So I needed someone to spar with me because I think we were in Bahrain at the time, and I was sparring and whatnot, just having working out, friendly little thing. I got on that mat, bro. It took 20 seconds.
Yeah, and you're exhausted on top of that. Fighting underwater, man, it's exhausting.
That's what I'm saying. He probably didn't. But that's the whole thing about they use their weight against you in force. I was the one. I was exhausted.
Yeah, everything takes effort.
I was in great shape, bro.
Yeah,
I was exhausted.
Boxing shape and jiu-jitsu shape, two different things.
Yeah, two different things. Two completely different things.
5 rounds of grappling, 5-minute round of just rolling. Oh my goodness, man.
Right.
Because if you don't submit the person, your arm is so pumped you can't use it again.
Right.
So you be cranking. If you don't get the submission, your arms, then the guy because you're exhausted, you end up tapping out. Because you can't move the arms anymore. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Well, the tapping out stuff. Let's go into this real quick. I was actually having a conversation with someone. When you tap someone, not knock them out. And boxing's different. If you knock someone out in boxing, you knock them out, right? And then once you get knocked out once, then you know what it feels like to get knocked out. And okay. And luckily for myself, I've never been knocked out in a ring, but have been knocked out playing football. All right. Not completely out. I came in head first. And this dude was, of course, playing football is always the ones you don't see get blindsided. This dude cleaned my clock. Okay. I was one of those ones. I was either gone or I got nailed because I was small. Right. So, and he popped this. I was not me completely out. But when it pertains to like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA, when you tap out, that does something different to your psyche, I think.
Oh yeah, because you quit.
Yeah.
But they tell you, they're like, listen, your ego, you're not gonna want to tap, but I try to go as long as I can to a certain point, but you can feel it. If the person is going slow, you can feel
you see people, their arms get snapped.
When it's about to break. You can like, okay, let me stop. Feel, you know what I mean? It's crazy. Yeah. You can feel when you're about to pass out. But I had a friend of mine. He took his first class and he got put to sleep. He forgot to tap. He started grabbing for the arm.
That's the worst thing to do.
He woke up. He said he woke up. The class was over. They were like, "Yo,
once you go to grab to resist, that's why they teach you not to go to grab. When you start grabbing, is when they're done. Yeah. So, but when you see them try to maneuver out,
you gotta be humble and you gotta tap. And I've been tapped out by women. So a lot of my female instructors at
willing. You know what I mean?
10th Planet, Eddie Bravo. I was training over there with those guys, man. And they're training MMA and people and all that. And I'm in the beginner, negative white belt class. You know, I've been tapped out by females, and you know, it's interesting, you know,
like on purpose.
yeah, like on purpose. Well, not on purpose. She just got me.
No, I know. You see my point. I was just joking, but
I get what you're saying. But I was like, wow, if it was a street, she could have killed me.
Right. That's some serious shit, bro.
Yeah.
That's some serious shit.
It wakes you up, man.
I was watching not obviously she couldn't do community. I think I mentioned earlier, Nausea. I was watching her box, bro. She was throwing her hands. I was like, man, it's like one of those things where when it's a female that strong, you know what I mean, and that agile, it's powerful to watch, bro. It's like, wow, you know, like it's different, but you see the other ones that are like more masculine, you know what I mean? But not like the smaller physique and you know what I mean? Like you would never think. I was like the Ali's daughter, right? When she was tearing people's ass up. I
enjoy watching a lot of female sports more than the men, because the women they focus more on technique.
Yes,
you know, if you ever notice, no matter what sport, they listen more to the coaches.
Yeah, especially
like women, you know. So it's interesting to watch as a trainer. Like, you know, the women will go back and really listen to the coach in between the rounds, whereas the guys just like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Even the women in the NBA, they're more team orientated. They pass the ball, they move the ball around a little bit more. You know what I mean? You always see the women always focus on the fundamentals a little bit more. I notice, which is interesting in the sports.
Right.
Where the men will rely more on their physical attributes to get the same, you know, advantage.
It's just true because they can use it's something that they don't have to compromise, bro. It's kind of like one of those things where they can overcome with their masculine, like they're going to overcome with just being very aggressive and using their physique and strength. But you have to use technique. And I enjoy watching the WNBA. They can shoot, man. They can you see a lot of ball movement.
Yeah, the fundamentals.
They can ball, bro. They can ball.
Movement, good teamwork, good passing. Yeah.
Right. That's what made me upset when Kobe passed away with his daughter. I thought his daughter would probably end up being like probably one of the best.
She probably would have been one of the greatest ever, right?
That's that was the first thing that went through my mind.
That meant time. Maybe still, you never know.
Yeah. No, you never know. Like the younger ones. But anyways, man, I know we got to run here, but the anabolic mind. Let's talk about just briefly.
Hey man, anabolic mind. Thank you for having me on WinJect, man.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. You know, so it's gonna be it's gonna cover all these topics, a lot of stuff that we spoke about now, how to integrate wellness into your lifestyle, how to make your wellness work for you, so it's actually a relationship. You don't have that resentment and expending energy for the rest of your day because you took care of yourself first in every facet. Your spiritual, your occupational, your environmental, your financial, and your physical. So you're a total person. Anabolic mind.
I can't wait for it to come out. The cover art's what I'm most proud about when my staff sent it over.
That came out great, man.
That was like, what? I was like, this is fire, bro.
Yeah, they nailed it. Absolutely.
Right. So, all right, guys. Well, reach out to Mark.
JenkinsFitness.com, or you can email me, mark@markjenkinsfitness.com.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, this guy, I mean, all you have to do is just pretty much get on WinJect and you'll find him somewhere around here. Just go on my social, you'll see me tagging him in a bunch of stuff because it's like, man, you can support your friends, bro. You know, like
that's how it's supposed to be. I mean, win-win, you know? Win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole thing, creating relationships that, you know, are beneficial for both people, man.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, be well, be you, be great. Peace out. Much love, guys. Reach out to Mark, man. Just do whatever you need to do, bro. I mean, this has been a powerful episode just to kind of go a little bit more, digress into your story just a little bit more, and then also talk about some of the things where it really needs to be talked about more. I think my biggest takeaway was, on top of that, even if you're anti-vaccine, you need to take the perimeter measures to protect yourself with your immune, and just integrating that wellness in your life and you're going to see the investment. You'll see the return on investment. I promise you.
Either preventative or prescription. It's up to you guys. Make the right choice.
That's right. And you pick prescription, they'll keep you alive. But
they keep you alive, but you know, your liver won't be doing too good and you'll be spending a lot of money.
All right, guys. Peace out. Thanks, man. I appreciate coming on, bro.
Thanks for having me.
This broadcast is brought to you by WinJect Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.